Hey everybody, this is Silver Spook, and this is the Silver Spook video on the fires. This is not a video. Yeah, there you go. This is the Silver Spook video on a more serious topic that is about the Hawaii fires, and of course the aftermath of that. But we're going to talk about more than just the ongoing fires that are not out. In fact, they're still going as of August 12th, 2023. But I did kind of want to comment on this because I am a Hawaiian, and our home country is on fire. I mean, in many ways. And so I kind of wanted to talk about the Hawaii Ablaze, a Hawaiian's view from inside the house. So yeah, I don't know. This I don't know how this is gonna go. We're gonna see, because this is of course my home. We'll see how I probably will be getting varying levels of upset and sad during this, but we gotta talk about this. Anyways, so where to start with this? Well, let's just look at some of the updates that I have on this. It also, there's, if you're looking for donation links and how to support, Holly will have, I'm sure, these in the chat, and we'll try to add them to the somewhere below the video. I'll try to add them to the description if I remember later on. But yeah, I know Aina Momona is one place to follow. There's several other places to check for, like, legitimate places to donate to actually help us in Hawaii. And anyways, thanks for people already showing up. But anyways, yeah, so but we're gonna talk today about the fire. And if you're looking for, like, specifically how to help people that are suffering, there are possibly thousands of people dead, potentially over 1,000 missing. Could be the worst wildfire fatality. Could be the worst incidents of wildfire, including the fatalities in the history of the world, actually, or in the history of the U.S. Unclear right now, but it's one of the worst mass death and also mass annihilation of an entire town, a very important historic town in Hawaii, Lahaina. So, but let's move on to this. Okay. Number one, well, this is obviously very frustrating, but this is just from today. Why is the New York Times focusing on a rich settler's Rolex when countless Hawaiians have died or are newly homeless? Okay, so number one, yeah. So this is just the New York Times, like, front page story is about this very wealthy foreign settlers, tourist industry profiteer. That's who this person is. Elisa Stratton searched through her wreckage of one of her homes, right? Not her home, like one of her homes. The one in Maui, for the Rolex watch her parents gave her when she graduated college. Not looking for her family members, looking for her expensive Rolex watch. And her fiance pulled it from the ashes. You found it, right? That this is what the New York Times cares about, is making sure that wealthy white people who have 200 houses can find their Rolex. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing stuff. Pretty amazing. Look at all. There are people, just for context, right now, there are people that are dying. There are people that are dying in Maui because the U.S. government that supports people like this is blockading for unknown reasons. Well, there are known reasons, but we'll get to them. Is blockading support from getting in. So people, like, who need critical medication, like elderly people who can't, they can't escape the area even now. And the U.S. government, their police, are blocking people from getting in. And then you have wealthy people from New York City or wherever this person is from looking for their Rolex watch and celebrating that they found their one of they could buy 1 million Rolexes if they needed. But this is the United States. I want to be clear. This is the United States, illegal occupation of Hawaii, and the capitalist, wealthy, disproportionately white tourist industrial complex owners who are complicit with the U.S. military industrial complex and always have been, the foreign capitalists who were backed by the United States in the coup of Hawaii in the 1890s, who altered the centuries of, and if not millennia, of Hawaiian ecological coexistence with the nature, right? Which did not result in wildfires at the scale that you're seeing, which had a very lush and wet area until colonizers like these people arrived in Hawaii, diverted the water where they wanted it, took all of the native plants that were that are suited to the areas that they're in, ripped it all out, replaced it all with monocrops, devastated all the islands by doing destructive capitalist big agricultural farming, by doing destructive US-backed corporate greed fueled over tourism, by doing destructive military bombing, desecration, despoilation, poisoning on every island, including destroying all of Kaho'olawe, so it's uninhabitable. These people, and now they are burning an entire island, and the only thing they're concerned about is showing up in Hawaii. The only thing New York City, as the headquarters of global capitalism, of the superpower of the United States of America, that defends global capitalism and ongoing colonialism and neo-colonialism for people like this, and the only thing they care about is finding their fucking goddamn Rolex watch. This lady's smile is just perfect. This is this guy as well, right? Who's marrying into his Greenwich, Connecticut wife's fucking family fortunes, that they're close enough to the New York Times, right? That they get their page on the front page of the New York Times. These are the people that have always been in Hawaii. These are the richest, most powerful people on the planet. These are the people that run Hawaii as their playground and their nexus to build their world colonial capitalist imperial headquarters, like the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command in Hawaii. And now Hawaii is literally burning down. So it's because I want to make it like as crystal clear as possible, because there's a lot of blame being pushed all over the place and a lot of focus being diverted, right? Like away from onto directed energy laser weapons used by Russia or China that set the fire by conspiracy theorists. There's just ignoring the climate change, which is caused by colonialism and capitalism. Angle, just literally left and right. Everyone is just trying to grift and make money from this, moving money into their own pockets. Before I say anything else, the Red Cross, FEMA, any U.S. government, U.S. corporate, U.S. nonprofit, most of the nonprofits, I've talked about this on many of my streams over the years, right? Do not support anything the U.S. government is behind, because most of what they're doing is taking money. I've seen them do this multiple times. I've seen them literally do this in real time. Years ago, when a similar amount, around 2,000 buildings were destroyed by fires and literal lava flows set by it was 2018, I believe, Kilauea eruption. The Red Cross, FEMA, came to Hawaii, asked for monetary donations, took beds and and food and medicines and other supplies, hoarded all that stuff. They didn't give it to people who needed it, took the monetary donations, disappeared with a lot of it. So do not give any money to any U.S. affiliated anything. The state of Hawaii, the United States illegal state of Hawaii, has never helped us. They are not helping us now. They are active. You didn't know. If you pay attention to my streams, you should have the capacity to do some amount of critical thinking. Most of the West is not capable of it, unfortunately. So they just lurch from the propaganda to propaganda to propaganda, and this is just the latest one. But there are some actual links that we have that we, to the best of our knowledge, because we are active, actual anti-capitalist, anti-colonial, indigenous people in Hawaii. Unlike these people. And please, you know, I know it's going to be hard because Hawaii is one of the planet's most propagandized places. Because the United States is the planetary colonial capitalist superpower that lies about everything, especially its planetary empire headquarters, which is Hawaii. And I know I'm outside of the fire thing already, but when I made the screenshot of this today's stream, which is obviously a more serious stream, this is not the Maui wildfire from my perspective as a native Hawaiian, right, who was born and raised in Hawaii, lived in the ghettos of Hawaii, right? Hawaii has been on fire for the last 2 centuries. It's really, really, really been on a mega bonfire since 1893, around that time. You know, when the U.S. That's the fire. This Maui fire. I want not to say that this is not a big deal. This is terrible. Many people have died. People are, as I said, people are still trying to figure out who of their family is alive, while the U.S. is actively killing Hawaiians by stopping them from getting medicine and food. People are. I'm not joking. People are dying right now. I have like video. And you look at your news media, conservative, liberal, left, whatever they're talking about, is not gonna talk about what the U.S. is doing, right? What the U.S. and its police, right, and its so-called humanitarian organizations are doing. You know what they're doing is they're actively killing Hawaiians. There's a video of Hawaiians talking about this, like they're not letting us back in to get gasoline so that people who are stranded in a wasteland can't even evacuate. The United States is committing genocide by actively killing Hawaiians by its choice to stop people from leaving the disaster zone or even getting medicine. The United States is, look, like Haiti, Puerto Rico, this stuff happens all the time. People forget, people forget, like every time a new disaster happens, right? It's the white colonizer privilege, is the privilege to be perpetually ignorant, to be perpetually violent, and to be perpetually bewildered by the system that benefits you, that you're complicit in. But anyways, so obviously it's gonna be hard for me to not be emotional on this one, but it is legitimate to be angry and upset about things which are actually angry and upsetting. So anyways, let's go back though. Okay, so that one is just very, very upsetting. Just watching these fucking people that I'm always talking about. The thing is, like, this is like, I mean, it's like really, okay. Let me find my other stuff that I posted. Thanks a lot. Wait, what's a big deal? And this is the one. Let's watch this real quick. This is something I think that is important for people to realize that you probably won't see wherever you are getting your information from. So this is the one I said. The U.S. government is actively killing us by not allowing basic medicine, food, and necessities to get into Maui. This is ongoing genocide of indigenous peoples. A lot of people are making a lot of money right now from this tragedy. That's what the U.S. is doing. So I'm going to tell you that now, since you're going to figure that out in 2 months probably when the reporting happens. Okay, let's watch this.
And
actually, let's go to the first one. So this is what the media is not showing how we're actually being treated. Everyone is just brushing over this right now.
Hello, everybody. Just coming on here to give a quick update on some of the ridiculous things that are going on for us here in Lahaina. I'm okay. I have my home in Honokohau Valley. For those of you who don't know, it is my grandmother's house that was completely engulfed and taken by the fire. I got to my grandmother's house about 30 minutes before it was completely engulfed, and it's gone. It's burnt to the ground. But the problem right now is not, I mean, obviously it's all still a problem, but people here are suffering. There's not enough supplies. There's not enough food. There's not enough water. There's not enough gas, not enough propane. There's nothing here. There are people that are trying to bring all of these things in right now, currently, as we speak. About 2 minutes ago, somebody just told me that they got turned away, regardless if they were a resident of Lahaina, regardless if they're a resident of Honokohau Valley, which I am from, and even people that live in Kahakuloa, which is closest to a lot of these roadblocks, are having a hard time even getting to their own homes. Now, the question is, and this is something similar that's been happening at Honolulu Bay this recent time, when we had the means to save and protect and prevent a catastrophe from happening. The public did, but our state and our federal government, like the Coast Guard, they denied us access to go and help. Now they're doing the same thing again at these roadblocks.
So you heard he said they're denying Hawaiians who even live in these areas the ability to even help. Why would the United States, state and federal government, stop a predominant? Again, this area is very, very, very non-white, mostly Hawaiians, Filipinos, Asian Pacific Islanders. Now, why would the United States be stopping people? Right? These are the police. They're just literally stopping people from getting in there. Why would the United States be stopping people from helping people who are dying, who are suffering, who are just in the most horrible, one of the worst tragedies ever, right? Why would the United States stop? Why? You have to ask yourself this question for those people who are confused about what the United States is.
Denying people access to bring in supplies, just supplies for people to live. I get it that they don't want to let all these people in because they're already spread thin, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It is a decimated area. I can't even tell you what the things that I've seen, and people want to leave. There are people here that want to leave, but they don't have gas to put in their car to leave. People are trying to bring gas in so that these people can just jump in their car and leave Lahaina. Take away the strain from the shelters. Take away the strain from the food and water that they're taking from when they have a place that they can go to. Yet our state is still denying people access, and it's not. They're not doing it friendly. I was on the phone just recently with Tiari Lawrence, and the cop on the other side of the phone was talking to her, talking down to her. Like, bro, people are in distress. People need these products. People need these supplies. Yet they're turning people away. I'm afraid. I have so many people here that I'm housing at my own place that I don't have enough food for. I don't have enough water for. Yet I'm afraid that if I leave to go and get the things that I do need, they won't let me back in. Right? My grandma, she needs her medicine. I have to go to Kahului to go get that myself. Nobody's gonna bring that here. Things are very specific to some people, and they need to get out and they need to get back in. Yet the state is failing us again. Okay? So, people, I don't even know. I'm lost for words. I don't even know what to do, how to go about this problem. But if anybody has any recommendations, please do put it in the comments. give me a call. So many people here that I'm housing at my own place that I don't have enough food for. I don't have enough water for. Yet I'm afraid that if I leave to go and get the things that I do need, they won't let me back in. Right? My grandma, she needs her medicine. I have to go to Kahului to go get that myself. Nobody. You have any ways to get certain things into Lahaina with whatever avenue with the police officers, if you can get an escort in or whatever, I don't even know. But there are things here that are specific to people, and more people are gonna die. More than has already been, more lives than I can even count. I've seen, and people are gonna die when they don't need to, and it's as if the state wants to make sure that they have control, but it's all of these laws and these loops and this red tape that we got to jump through just to save lives and to prevent more catastrophe from happening. Yeah, all of that for the state to continue to control when it is the law of necessity. It is necessary for people to be coming in. Yeah, the tourists, show your ID, you kind of go in there, but if people are trying to come in to just pick up family members, to take them out, how are you going to turn people away? So please be vigilant. Lahaina community, we got to stick together. I am continuing to document things that are going on here on this side of the island. It is as if they cut us off from the rest of the world and they're not letting us come get out. People don't even have cell phone service to contact their families to let them know they're okay. The only way you can do that is to go to certain places, which is outside of the perimeter that the cops have set. And they can't even do that to let their families know that they're okay because they can't come back in. People have nothing. People are suffering. People need medication. People need food, gas, water. And yeah, it's all slowly coming here, but it could have been here yesterday. It could have been here earlier this morning. So aloha guys, sorry for the rant, but I need to get the word out there to let people know exactly what's going on, because it's a lot worse than the media has made it out to be. A lot worse. Okay, aloha.
So that's what I mean by the U.S. government is actively, I would just call it what it is the U.S. is committing ongoing genocide against Hawaiians. This is active, because again, this is mostly all Hawaiians there. This is active racist killing of Hawaiians by stopping, and other people, mostly people of color, by stopping the supplies from getting into this area. By, again, like he just said, there could have, the medicine and food and all these other things could have been in multiple days ago, right? Like yesterday or earlier. This is on the 10th, right? This is 2 days ago. The resources could have been in there a lot earlier, right? But it's only because the United States is trying to maintain control for an ongoing policy. Like I talk about this all the time, but people don't believe me most of the time, I think, because they live in disinformation land. The U.S. is in a premeditated, multi-decade, and it's at least over a century-long program to eliminate Hawaiians from Hawaii, right? Through, mass death is this is just the most overt form of it. Mass death, mass impoverishment, right? By displacing us through overpricing us out. I'm a Hawaiian that can't afford to live where I'm from because it's $1.2 million for the average house now where I'm from. By banning of language, banning of culture, which they have done, they continue to do, by targeted child removal from Native Hawaiians, who are several times more likely to get our children removed from parents, right? All of the continuous death to Native people. And that's not just literal physical killing by gunshots, which the U.S. does. Hawaiians are 6 times more likely to be shot by cops than any other ethnicity in the United States. The United States is in a concerted very well researched, very active, very hidden but systemic genocide of Native Hawaiians. Why? Because we are the legitimate occupants of Hawaii under the illegal U.S. occupation that the United Nations has acknowledged, because our lifeways and our culture and our history is anti-capitalist, it is collectivistic, which is against the U.S. colonial capitalist system, because we have environmentally sustainable lifeways that don't benefit private capital accumulators, tourism, agricultural, or military colonial domination. And that's why the United States is trying to eradicate, annihilate Hawaiians, including by conscious, concerted attempts with media blackout coverage. With media, again, this is not being reported. Media is complicit in covering up the systemic annihilation of Hawaiians at all times. This is why I spend so much time talking about this kind of stuff, because that's what, when I made Neofeud, that's, you know, I again, it's not, you know, my game is not just about Hawaii. It's about the whole planetary system, but Hawaii is just central to what is happening. It is a nexus. It is a microcosm of everything that the U.S. Western colonial capitalist system has been doing to many, many, many peoples across the planet Earth forever, and definitely now, including killing the entire, killing Papa, that is Earth Mother, that is all of our mothers, that is nature itself. The U.S. is killing not just the burning banyans and coconut trees and all of the animals, wildlife, our other relatives, and also our literal relatives, such as grandmas, right? Like our neighbor lost their entire grandma's house is gone. Everyone is homeless right across the street. I have family that were in Lahaina. I don't know all of them. A lot of them like second, third cousins, but I've met those people that have lived in Lahaina, including one of the oldest, few like pure Hawaiians. We don't go by pureness, but one of the oldest Hawaiians that has been from the original capital of the country of Hawaii. And everything is gone. Everything is gone. And this is absolutely the illegal U.S. genocidal, colonial, capitalist occupation of Hawaii's fault in a global climate change sense, from an indigenous perspective, similar to the crimes against Native Americans, indigenous people who stopped 25% of climate change, despite being 2% of the U.S. population. From that perspective, from the down to the local alteration of the terrains, the local alteration of the flora and fauna, and replacing them with monocrop agriculture, with replacing the indigenous sustainable terraced lo'i systems, our ahupua'a system that fed all of Hawaii and even fed California at one point, how successful we were, without altering and destroying and causing extreme dry zones, extreme wildfire dangers, right? From the ecological perspective, from the global climate perspective, from every perspective, this is the United States and your Western colonial capitalism. Racism is a part of this because it's mostly huge proportionately Hawaiian, especially Hawaiian Filipino and Filipino people who live there. Why were the Filipinos brought to Hawaii after the U.S. occupation and undoing of our indigenous, socialist, anti-racist system for replacing it with plantation feudalism? Right? Why the Filipinos were brought in to be the slave laborers in the 20th century. Where Hawaii was, as I like to bring up, Hawaii was the worst of every U.S. All of U.S. is illegitimate, genocide-based, colonial capitalist slave plantation. including the 2.5 million ongoing slave workers in the U.S. prisons that make 25 cents an hour mechanically separating Tyson chicken nuggets and putting out California's wildfires for less than $1 a day or $1 an hour, right? The United States is what is killing us. So if you want my actual perspective. But anyway, let's move on to some more specific Hawaii stuff. Okay, so one other thing I want to bring up. Okay, so so this is some more pictures of the fire. I mean, you want pictures of the fire, you can get pictures of the fire. You want like basic updates on stuff, you can find that all over the place. But I'm trying to find something that people won't see, probably. Nobody should have been tourist vacationing in Maui anyway, because tourism harms us more than helps us native Hawaiians, like we've been telling people constantly. Again, white privilege is the privilege to be perpetually ignorant, to be perpetually with your fingers in your ears, right? Pretending that you just didn't know things that you've done. This is very much the American way, right? We have been telling people for how long, right? How long have I been screaming this thing all over every social media and on YouTube, on Twitch, right? And many other, not just me, many other Hawaiians, right? How long have we been saying that this is not helping us, right? And this is even more so right now, as the planes and transportation is clogging up the little resources that we have that needs to get food, clothing, medicine, right? All the other logistics, people that just get to Maui to help deal with this. People are still demanding to fly into Hawaii, still demanding to have, people are like, there is that tourist boat. Oh my God, this is like so terrible. There are tourist boats that are still operating in the disaster zone as our family members' bodies are being fished out of the water surrounding Maui. There are still snorkeling tours, again, capitalist snorkeling tours to make money, running their tours off the coast where the dead bodies in the water, the homes and buildings are burnt to the ground, people are burned alive, people are still dying there. Let me say that again. People are still dying, like we just talked about. People are still in jeopardy of dying and actually dying there. And people are running their tour boats next to a sea of Hawaiian dead bodies. What right? What is wrong with these people? You know? What is wrong with these people? How are you snorkeling around the disaster zone? Are you I mean, other than just like you are just a straight up horrific, like, I don't know, you just want to see dead Hawaiian bodies? Is that it is like the live action tropical version of watching when white racist people watch black people get murdered by police? Is this what you're doing? You just want to watch dead Hawaiians? This is the U.S. tourism industrial complex at work. This is the colonial tourism, right? That is full of some of them very wealthy, because these are not cheap, racist colonizers who don't listen to Hawaiians, who keep coming to Hawaii, even though how often we have to scream it at the top of our lungs, right? And then they put a hand over our mouth, or then they put a finger in their ear and they say, I didn't hear what you said. This is just amazingly gross. So yeah, anyways. And the company also, this horrific company, Maui Snorkeling, should absolutely be ashamed of themselves, which they probably won't be, but they will be shamed either way. Dirty, disrespectful company. Cancel your tours. Go help the people of Lanai. Your profits today will help Maui. No, absolutely not. And as I said, right, even most nonprofits, I've worked for nonprofits in Hawaii. Nonprofits are taxed. If you've been paying attention to the social extreme, now is the time, right? What is a nonprofit, right? What is an NGO? What is a Western aid, right? What is a U.S. aid? what is a philanthropic organization, right? In the capitalist colonial West in the U.S., right? It is a for-profit, tax-deductible money laundering scheme, shadow, covert, politician buying, off-the-books fence. It is off-the-books criminal racket. That is what a nonprofit is. Do not give any money to anything mutual, like Hawaiian, that can be authenticated to actual Hawaiian activists that are actively anti-imperial, actively supporting indigenous decolonization, actively supporting anti-capitalism, right? It really, that's really how you know. Have they proven themselves through a trust network of, because the West is, all of it is disinformation, from its commanding heights to even its middle management and to its lowest diseducated tools. So you have to go through networks of trust in a totally falsity based so-called civilization called all of the G7 basically. But you have to, all the US allied so-called rules-based order, you have to go through organizations that we know that you can trust as best as we can, like Aina Momona, because of a dialectical analysis of their history and other people that they're working with in an ongoing fashion, because organizations can change and evolve. So do not give any money to Red Cross, to FEMA, to anything that, I can tell, because when I see that U.S. government officials like Josh Green, total corrupt, Hawaiian valor stealing, lying crook, Josh Green, I love the U.S. military killing Hawaiians, governor of Hawaii, all the senators, all the representatives of Hawaii, absolutely corrupt, complicit in planetary war, planetary funding of the military that's killing Hawaiians with the poisoning of Red Hill, the bombing of Puakaloa, everything that has a gray check mark, absolutely, that's a no on Twitter, right? Anything that's a U.S. government affiliated, anything, just immediate no. Immediate illegitimate, right? That should be obvious if there was any education system in the West, including the U.S., including the illegal U.S. state of Hawaii. But that's not where we are. But I'm telling you now, you have to go through people that we know that we can trust based on our trust network, the mutual aid funds that are the best. I mean, you could have an individual grifter who is like discount QAnon that's saying that it was a Chinese ion cannon that shot the fire, and donate money to me, and I'll use my Joe Rogan sponsored Uberman paddle to paddle in and get some bodies out of the water, right? There's small time grifters. The conservatives are usually smaller time. The liberals are the biggest. They run the entire United States empire. So don't give anything to the U.S. Don't give in to FEMA. Nothing to the Red Cross. Nothing to these nonprofit. I mean, it's hard. I can't tell you exactly which one right now because I have not investigated every single one of them. But what I can tell you is, I know the ones that Holly is sharing, the ones that I'm sharing. I try to share only the ones that I'm like, I can confirm through some series of connections, and like checking it through multiple actual trusted friends, entities, etc. This is how indigenous people actually exist and live just generally. It's called actually being a rational, evidence-based, dialectical, epistemologically sound thinking person, but the West doesn't have that. So anyways, Maui snorkeling though, fuck these people. Okay, let's move on though. I'm kind of jumping around. But it's terrible scamsters are profiting. So like, this is coming back to that topic though. Terrible scamsters are trying to profit from disasters in Hawaii. Unfortunately, very common under U.S. colonial occupation. Check where you're donating to and make sure your money is going to displaced Maui residents in need. Because there were churches that are claiming to be legitimate places to donate, and they're just don't even have any connection to Lahaina or Maui at all. They're just taking money from people. Again, well-meaning people. I know this because I work for nonprofits. I watch the United States do this all day long. Like I was unfortunately even. There were senators and representatives of the United States of America, governors, senators, representatives, business people, community leaders, nonprofits, who took pictures of me working with children, like impoverished Hawaiian and Pacific Islander children in the ghetto that I worked in, and they say, look at what we're doing to help Hawaiians, and they got themselves elected, got themselves donations based on that. So Hawaii is, like, again, one of the most lied about places on the planet Earth. It includes how to help Hawaii, right? Mark Zuckerberg, right? This is where, if you follow Silverspook, this all of the education that I've tried my best to get people out should, I hope, come to fruition before the damage is done, right? Because I don't just do this education to teach about history in some dead way. You're supposed to be using the education that I and other people as indigenous left activists get out to you. You should be using this in an ongoing fashion. Mark Zuckerberg owns Kala LLC, which is a organization ostensibly, right? Who Mark Zuckerberg owns a reservoir, who ostensibly, right, it was supposed to be helping Hawaiians build sustainable agriculture and house themselves and all this philanthropic work. Kala LLC is one of countless non-profit Hawaiian organizations to help Hawaiians, but it's actually just a way for Mark Zuckerberg to avoid taxes by establishing this shell company that he can buy more Hawaiian land with to push Hawaiians off their land. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. Like, you cannot trust anything that says Hawaii on it, anything that makes you feel good, anything that is getting any major mainstream press coverage, probably very highly sus. Okay, so this is why you don't, like, you can learn about, some basic information, like, was there a fire? Yes. Apart from that, anything from the New York Times, like right, center, left, and there's a concerted right, center, or left to, start the next proxy war on China right now. So, they're all the so-called Western left, the center, and the Democrats, and the U.S. is all right, but the Democrats, the Republicans, liberals, conservatives, and a lot of these progressive, whatever people call themselves, they're all lined up. Okay, so you can't trust any of that shit. You cannot trust any of that. They're all lying about Hawaii, 100%. They're telling just enough of the truth, and by omission, leaving out the important stuff. That's what I'm trying to do today. Okay, but anyways, at least 6 dead, hundreds of it's well over. It's like 80 plus dead at this point, confirmed. Okay. Yeah. Aina Momona was founded by in part by Walter Riddy, who is a long time died in the pigskin. No, died in the wool. Long time activist that put his life on the line when the U.S. military was bombing Ko'olave and cracked the water table, and dropping countless munitions all over that to practice blowing up Vietnam and countless other Asian and Muslim countries. Uncle Walter was one who he's always been an activist on Mauna Kea. He was getting locked up. All the actions we've ever had, and his organizations. That's why I'm saying, like, he's a long time proven to be trustworthy individual and organization, and honest individual, right? Any somebody. This is Anyway, that's why and Aina Momona and everything that I as far as I know, right? Everything I know is that he has been kind of the heart of that, with a lot of other people working on the social media for Aina Momona, and they do a lot of organizing. And this was a post that came through them, right? And also Holly does a lot. Holly has a lot more, the direct information coming from a lot of different sources, like in real time, following feeds. And so Holly has a lot of this as well. If you want more sources, like, of course, Holly has all the links and all of the receipts for things that I'm often saying. And so, that's the way that you kind of have to try to go about these things in this way as much as possible. I know it's harder. It's harder than just like looking at, okay, you just Google, how do I help Hawaiians? If you Google how to help Hawaiians, you're going to find 25,000 false things. Okay. It's all going to be scams, right? It's called give money to, Salvation Army, which is just racist, conservative, anti-trans, imperial garbage. And then you have, give money to, Red Cross, which is just U.S. empire grifting scam. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton Foundation, which is give money to warmongers by taking food out of Hawaiians' mouth and turning it into missiles to shoot somewhere in Israel or Ukraine or somewhere. So do not Google search how to help Hawaiians during Maui fires. Okay, do not search that on the mainstream. As Big Teal is just saying, they're like blacking out actual authentic Hawaiian sources, which is, again, how do you think the Southern Empire maintains control? Is by media blackout, control of media, control of information, control of finance, control of everything they possibly can get their hands on. All of the infrastructure. That's why they hate people having access to Huawei phones, because they can't, turn your phone off. When I was streaming about Mauna Kea, like I said, I'm just waiting for my stream to be cut off, to be honest, right? Because it's not like this company that allows me. It's not like the Death Star satellites from which I stream, which is a U.S. giant multinational mega corporation, actively in a proxy war, in a hybrid war against the number one enemy of the United States. It's not like they want to stop me. They've stopped me from streaming before, so I'm just waiting for that. They also stopped Black Power Media, which you also follow, which Big Teal is from. They routinely like cut their cord and just black out their YouTube channel. But anyways, let's move on though. So support, if you want to support, but and this is just in general, okay? But you have to try to make sure that you're getting both where you get your information from and also where you get your money from the best. This is what it means to be an actual rational, empirical, dialectical thinker. It's like it's very difficult. The liberal, that's why I say Western University is about convincing you that holding $200,000 pieces of paper from professional bullshit artistry academies, also known as Ivy League schools, or just accredited universities in the U.S. and all of its affiliates, its vassals, is thinking. No, but to actually think, it means to like learn how to, and then the right has its own version. It's called do your independent research, which is just code for go to joerogan.com or go to Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro or who's trying to get elected in the other party now. Go to nikkihaley.com, research it there, and then buy the bullshit there. Because there are people that are trying to do that right now. The QAnon shaman light is trying to sell, as I said, tinfoil hats against your directed energy weapons right now. So don't do that either. You have to try to find you have to. I mean, it's hard. It takes time, but that's why we're here to try our best to help you to learn how to think at all, and also learn how to actually help people. Because I say this being somebody who was brainwashed by the United States for many years of my life. I went to the Stormtrooper training facility, and I went to the Emperor Palpatine. I almost went to the Emperor Palpatine training facility in Harvard, Princeton, or Yale. Didn't do that though, because that's a terrible thing. Anyways, let me get off of that and come back to the fire topic, and stop jumping around. Important thread on how U.S. colonialism and extractive tourism in Hawaii has led to disastrous wildfires that were preventable. So, here's another one, just basically about some of the background. Right, the wildfires are rooted in the same reason Hawaiians have been screaming to high heavens to stop traveling to Hawaii. Just to reiterate this, right? And I'm saying I'm not the only person saying this, and have been saying this for eons. Hawaii has long had wildfires, particularly caused by volcanic activity, I'm going to come back to the 2018 volcano incident in a bit. Extractive tourism and post-colonialism are largely to thank for why the fires are now unmanageable and uncharacteristic for Hawaii's climate geography. This isn't unpredictable. It's uncharacteristic. This isn't supposed to happen in Hawaii, but many knew that it would be a consequence if tourism continued to destroy Aina, the native species that don't catch fire, yet they have been cleared out to build the next useless parking lot or amusement park. Non-native grasses catch and spread fire much quicker. There's a big picture here for why Hawaiians urge everyone to stay away until things are finally under control. But no, you all piss and moan about why Hawaiians need you and your dollars when it's never been about that. Aina needs to breathe and recover from post-colonialism, and extractive tourism is only a continuation of that. Now tourists and wealthy residents who moved here for their own paradise are caught in a literal crossfire, and I sympathize to the extent that people are losing lives, loved ones, homes, and valuables, pets. That is extremely heartbreaking, but we're not going to overlook the real issue. Extremely complicit tourists have been, and who left to deal with this all when tourists make it home safely. The native Hawaiians and locals on the island, heritage sites, and gifted trees from other world leaders to Hawaiian kingdom pre-annexation, now destroyed, compounded by the resentment toward tourists' blatant disrespect of other native wildlife. Natives, locals are absolutely wishing tourists the utmost safety. Doesn't mean it's our place to accommodate denialism of tourists. Reporting like New York Times emphasizes tourists as lifeblood of Lahaina's local economy, which overlooks how post-colonialism and white billionaires and property developers who don't even live on the island hold most of the ownership and have made it this way. Again, this is like stuff I've been talking about. I feel like I'm a broken record, but now it's like I'm glad that at least some more people are talking about it more loudly. Jeff Bezos just donated $100 million. I guarantee you that money is just going to go to, it's basically a down payment on an investment park. Most of it's probably going to get fenced. It's just like donation to the U.S. government. The U.S. Ponzi scheme, real estate finance, and property development complex to make sure that he gets first dibs on the Jeff Bezos tropical Disney theme park they're going to build over Lahaina's, all of our history and all of our people's houses. That's what a fire is, a rapid indigenous cleansing and white capitalist resort park bulldozing mechanism. It's called shock doctrine. This is basic stuff. Jeff Bezos hates Hawaiians. That's why he has 45 to 100 million, I forget his exact amount of investment. He has bought the ocean in Hawaii. So fuck this guy. But that should be obvious. Maybe non-obvious to Westerners and colonizers. But just I want to say that because I'm sure somebody's talking about Silver Spook, but Americans like Jeff Bezos love Hawaii. Look how much money he gave. But look, they're doing so much more. Hawaii just needs more Bill Gates and Clinton foundations and more Bezoses to just donate some more money. Everything nothing is a donation. The West don't donate. Africa knows this. They don't. Western aid, they don't donate to Burkina Faso, Niger, and all these places to help anyone. Nobody donates anything. Every donation is a shackles, right? As Thomas Sankara wisely said, that they use to blackmail you. Foreign aid, loans, investment is never that. It's always to make more money because the West exists to destroy the earth, apparently. But anyways, no. So do not trust when people tell you, they're going to tell you, tourism is helping. The tourism industry is helping. Again, I can, if you want to get into the weeds about tourism specifically, not all tourism is necessarily bad, but tourism under an extractive, oppressive, colonial capitalist system, right? Like Cuba has tourism, and that benefits the people there, right? A lot of places in our socialist country west of Hawaii has tourism, multiple of them actually, and it benefits the country, but they're not. They don't have from its commanding heights a capitalist colonizer imperialist system, right? And so then they balance the needs of the ecology with the people and the economic needs and the material needs of the people, and also the cultural heritage that needs to be preserved, right? Hawaii tourism is not Hawaiian tourism. It's all fake plastic cellophane lay white racist bastardizations of Hawaii tourism. There is no authentic Hawaii tourism industry. It doesn't exist. It can't exist under the U.S. colonial occupation. An authentic Hawaiian tourism industry would be telling you everything I'm telling you before you even got off the plane, right? But you can never learn this. When you visit Hawaii, you get more disinformed about Hawaii. Every time you visit, you might as well. That's why we're saying stay home. Hawaii is an anti-Hawaiian propaganda machine. Waikiki is an anti-Hawaiian propaganda machine. The Bishop Museum is a history hiding entertainment factory. They don't tell you anything true in Hawaii. I'm gonna lose it if I keep going. But anyway, let's keep going. This roaring of many of y'all using gives far more attention and importance to tourists who have actually deal with the aftermath and be continually ignored because no matter what, tourists get first priority in Hawaii's economy. You're witnessing as boatloads of Hawaiians, boatloads and plane loads of tourists are having millions of US dollars spent to get them into another hotel for the rest of their stay in Hawaii. Hawaiian resource, there's barely anything. In fact, Hawaiians are being denied resources actively. Hawaiians are trying to give of their own family members, just fellow Hawaii residents, trying to help other Hawaiians, and they're being actively stopped from helping the other Hawaii residents. The U.S. is killing Hawaiians right now. It is real time killing Hawaiians right now. And then spending money to pamper tourists. Extractive tourism supersizes the local travel economy at the expense of locals, natives who have long disapproved of this economic model. Hawaii is an island. This climate isn't dry, but is becoming because of such destructive human activity. Anyways, so this there's a lot more to say about that. I'm gonna move on. If you want to get into the ecological angles, there's mountains of research about that. There's another one. Democracy Now! Is a terrible imperialist rag, but they had somebody who was saying a few true things on one of their interviews this week. So I was trying to find. Okay, I lost that story. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so again, let's just watch this. Okay, these are the people. If you running who runs Hawaii, though, one more time, it's these people. Okay, it's people who are who are sad because they lost one of their countless Rolex watches, right? Who are tourism profiteers, probably landlords around the world as well. And this is the New York Times page. The New York Times front story is some rich white couple finding their Rolex while all of our families' ashed bodies are still being dug up and people are still dying. This is what the New York Times cares about. That's what tell you about the Democratic Party and the liberals that run that, which is, as I said, they're the worst, man. They're the worst. They're the fox that eats all the chickens. And the wolf is the Republicans that don't get as many because they're stupid. But anyways, so let's move forward from that. Let me just see if I have any other stories that I want to talk about. Oh, shoot. Okay. I had this long thread. Yeah, this one. Okay. Yeah, as I said, I do have family on Maui. There's a lot of history, but I talk about that frequently. But I'm gonna connect that back. Terrible scamsters trying to profit from disaster. Talked about that. Hawaii is our home, not just a tropical Disneyland. Hawaii is not just a loss of paradise. Okay, Hawaii is not a loss of Hawaii is not a loss of your sunny sand, surf, and seals, and swimming with dolphins. Six Mountains. I mean, your Magic Mountain, your Six Flags, and your Disneyland. Hawaii is not your theme park, right? Right. Hawaii is a real place where our actual human, indigenous, and fellow Hawaiian members of the Hawaiian nation have lost our entire towns and our entire family members. Okay, and when people talk about this stuff, like Ren is also somebody who is also a native Hawaiian person. When people talk about this stuff, like, oh, it's so sad that I can't go to my favorite Maui vacation spot anymore. Okay, it's amazingly insultive. It's amazingly tone deaf. It's just the caucasity is awe-inspiring. Okay, so please do not engage in that. Okay, do not center you're wealthy, because if you are going there frequently on vacation, you are rich, especially for Gen Z standards. You are like a millionaire at least. So please do not center your American fantasies of Hawaii. Again, read Haunani K. Trask. You want to learn about Hawaii from a native daughter. And here's a short one. Read this, okay? Tourism and the prostitution of Hawaiian culture. Thanks to American imperialism, the ideology of the United States has no overseas colonies and is in fact the champion of self-determination the world over, holds no greater sway than in the United States itself. To most Americans, Hawaii is theirs to use, to take, and above all to fantasize about. Long after the experience, 5 hours by plane from California, Hawaii is 1,000 light years away in fantasy, an image of escape from the rawness and violence of daily American life. Hawaii is mostly a state of mind. Above all, Hawaii is a she, a Western image of the native female in her magical allure. To Hawaiians, daily life is neither soft nor kind. In fact, political, economic, and cultural reality for most Hawaiians is hard, ugly, and cruel. And that is no more better illustrated than in this picture, right? For Hawaii, it's a place for Americans to fantasize about, reminisce, while literally our entire home is being destroyed. And again, like I said, Hawaii being set ablaze, this is beyond just the Maui fires. This is about 130 years of Hawaii on fire. Politically, economically, socially, Hawaiian culture, and spiritually, in every facet of existence, the United States has been burning Hawaii. So read, if you just you haven't, go read this essay at least, okay, as part of your of your Caucasus penance for thinking such ridiculous. If you've ever vacationed in Hawaii, if you've ever been a settler in Hawaii, if you've ever been a white person who bought a house in Hawaii, who lived in Hawaii, who stayed with your, if you've ever been a military brat staying with your parents at Schofield Barracks, staying in Kailua at one of the multiple military bases there, staying going to the beach in Sherwoods while practicing to invade and destroy Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. If you've ever been, for any reason, as part of the planetary stormtroopers military occupation of Hawaii, because people keep saying, Silver Spook, I was in Hawaii when I was a kid. Well, that's because your parents are war criminals. You read that essay, you learn all this, educate, you actually listen to what I'm saying, and then actually learn the actual history of Hawaii, which you can't learn because people keep telling me, well, Silver Spook, I took a GI Bill paid free college course on the history of Hawaii from the United States Naval Academy. And I'm like, well, so you're saying you took a brainwashing course, because that's what the U.S. military, that's what the U.S. does generally. So no, read that actual essay. Okay. Anyways, let's go back though. Hawaii is our home, not just your Disneyland. In reporters covering the fire, stop characterizing the Lahaina town as a tourist spot. This was the former capital of the Hawaiian Kingdom at one point. Kamehameha Palace is here. Native Hawaiians still live here on ancestral land from the 1800s. So yeah, again, it is not just a vacation spot. On top of the U.S. system, there's also big tourism. There's a lot more to talk about that. There's the long history of the tourism and agriculture before that. Colonizer capitalist agriculture before that, diverting water away from Lahaina. It's almost like the U.S. is trying to dry out into a shriveled corpse and then set it ablaze. The former capital of the country of Hawaiians, Hawaii, before the U.S. illegally occupied, fraudulently annexed, and fraudulently pretended like Hawaii was a state. You want to go into that, we can talk about that as well. But before that, the capital of Hawaii was in Lahaina. So this is that the United States Democrats, liberals, and conservatives are celebrating the incineration of the sovereign country of Hawaii's former capital. That's what the U.S. is doing. They're not going to say that out loud, probably. Hillary Clinton might accidentally, Hillary Clinton celebrated when the Africa's liberation was underway, and then one of the top leading people, Gaddafi, was killed and executed by the United States. She celebrated gleefully of the death of any African liberation. But that's what the U.S. is doing right now, is they're celebrating the death of Hawaiians. That's actually the smile on that lady's face. I wouldn't be surprised. Important thread on how U.S. colonialism and extractive tourism in Hawaii has led to disastrous wildfires. So I already did that one. Okay. Something else I want to point out, right? So everybody is talking, just to put something up on the screen. Everybody is talking about how the fires, what's happening now. I want to go back to some historical fires though now. Okay. So Hawaii ablaze. Everybody's talking about this fire right now, but this is not new. Okay. Countless Hawaiians being killed and other Pacific Islanders and Asians being killed and burned, and their homes, their wealth, their history, their family, their photo books, their heirlooms, their great grandmothers and grandfathers' malo and hula skirts and hula implements all being incinerated. and all of our entire towns disappearing. This is not new. The U.S. has done this before, in fact. Let's go through that. We Hawaiians suffering from lost homes and family and history in the Hawaii fire while tourists are pampered is like the time the U.S. set fire to Hawaiian homes and businesses and forced us into the blaze at gunpoint while white people were treated in posh hotels. Okay? So not everybody realizes this, but there is a history of the United States and its white capitalist, racist, self-proclaimed oligarchy. They call themselves oligarchs in this time. Under racist capitalism, the United States has incinerated, burned with, you know what they're talking about? Hurricane force winds rapidly blew the fire, right? So Maui fire, right? They're talking about, right? The hurricane force winds rapidly blew, fueled in part by violent winds from Hurricane Dora, right? Churning more than 800 miles away, decimating homes and businesses, I'm trying to zoom in on that. Decimating homes and businesses, launching urgent rescue missions, knocking out power and communication, even forcing people into the ocean to avoid being burned. So the winds are part of what exacerbated it, right? Now, it's not just the wind. There's no one single cause. So it's a multiplicity. It is a complex of many, many, many causes. Climate change at a global scale being one of them, caused by the Western colonial capitalist greed that sacrifices planet, environment, ecology, nature for profit of a few white cis guys like Jeff Bezos and CEOs like Elon Musk, etc. But the wind is one of the factors that cause the fire to spread rapidly, right? And the reason why I want to bring that up is this was one of the things. Literally, this is what happened in Hawaii, right? This is smoke from a quote unquote. The United States said this was a controlled fire in Honolulu in 1900 from the Hawaii State Archives. In 1900, right? 7 years after the illegal U.S. occupation of Hawaii by the United States and the overthrowing of our sovereign country, we had a vast array of still existing cooperative businesses. And I'm going to get a little bit more back into that history in a little bit. We had the world's first. Shoot, should I just go back into that? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna jump back a little bit because this is hard to explain how this is difficult to explain without going back a little bit more. Let me go back a little bit into the history. Okay, so where did I put it? So prior to the U.S. occupation, right? Now we're gonna have to go back a little bit into history. Prior to the U.S. occupation, okay, which you should know about, right? Hawaii had the world's highest literacy rate. Hawaii had the world's first universal health care system. Hawaii had renewable hydropowered cities. We had near zero homelessness, actual racial equality under a socialist Hawaii. Most people don't know that. I know this is going to be like, what are you talking about, right? Unless you've been listening to me for a long time, you will be like, what is Silver Spoon talking about? Prior to the U.S. coup, Hawaii had the world's highest literacy rate. This is, and I have entire threads upon threads upon threads upon threads about this, right? This is what the United States has been trying to destroy, stop, prevent from happening. I mean, this is basically Cuba. This is modern China. This is modern socialist countries. This is what Africa's trying to build in Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali. What Libya was trying to build, and Hillary Clinton destroyed it with France and the NATO friends, right? This is what the U.S. is always on a planetary scale, right? Let's zoom out geographically and temporally a little bit, right? Let's stop looking at like myopic little creatures of Western brainwashing, looking at just the fire on my screen right now. Let's look at more. Let's actually do dialectical analysis, right? The United States has been trying to stop progress like this. Why? Because it doesn't benefit capitalist, which is about extracting wealth, extracting from nature and from people as much labor and as much a fruit of our mother and all of our other relatives, also known as the plants and animals, and extracting as much of that and giving it to a tiny number of people, right? That's what's burning the planet, literally, right? As environmental scientists, if capitalism and the Earth's biosphere can coexist, okay? But prior to the US coup, we had the higher service rate, we had a universal healthcare system, we had all of these advancements. With technology, it wasn't perfect, but it was the most, Hawaii was the most advanced place on the earth in this time, okay? This is the picture of Queen's Hospital on the bottom, where Emma Kaleleo Nalani Na'ea Rook went on foot to raise money for the world's first free, zero-charge hospital system, healthcare system. They vaccinated Hawaii when smallpox was being weaponized to annihilate indigenous Native Americans. You may have heard about that. Smallpox, they were bringing smallpox and claiming that it was Chinese people bringing it in. White sailors intentionally bringing smallpox to Hawaii, and part of the way we dealt with it was with the world's first universal healthcare system, which is more universal than any Western socialist, even so-called Nordic system. All of the German, Swedish, Finnish healthcare systems are nothing compared to Hawaii's system. They are absolute free healthcare, no insurance, no racist NATO imperial participation, no colonial history that backed the development, which included the development to build their healthcare systems. So Hawaii actually had universal healthcare system for all people, including Black and Asian. You're Asian in Sweden, you're treated as some kind of second-class citizen, and same thing in Germany. If you're Muslim, if you speak a non-European language in Germany, you're treated as a filth. Hawaii had full Black and Asian citizens, which I would argue is necessary for full universal healthcare. Hawaii had a system of hydropowered. Speaking of climate change and fires, Hawaii had a system of renewable hydropowered electricity grid that lit over 800 lights in the city of Honolulu, free of charge, nationalized, anti-capitalist, socialist electrical grid, powered by waterfall spun turbines. Speaking of water, and the drying out of the foliage that caused the fires, right? System of trains, trolleys, and ferries, near free universal mass transit. Does that remind you of any advanced modern countries? Unlike the United States, which is a backward country. The Queen's Hospital system provided universal healthcare to all at no charge. Okay, and so this is also what Hawaii. So when the United States, when we talk about the United States occupation of Hawaii, it's not just like there were some people in huts and then suddenly America, showed up and built cities on them, and that's what we mean by the U.S. occupation. No, the U.S. occupation of Hawaii was the stopping of active climate, environmental progress. We're talking about anti-racist, actual racial equality progress. We're talking about progress against capitalism progress. That was what the U.S. was stopping. It's not just, we just randomly felt like, being in Hawaii. The U.S. was trying to eliminate. It's part of the Cold War. That's Big Teal brought up last stream. It's part of the Cold War, which is a war to prevent the spread of normal, healthy human civilization, I would argue, right? Trying to find that one post that I had that goes more. If you want to read more about that specifically, I have entire threads about that. You want to read about the U.S. occupation? This is one of many, many threads that I have about that. Okay? And I do recommend that you read that. If you want to see what Hawaii is about. Okay, I'm gonna save this in case I want to come back to that. But let me go back because I know people have heard this before. Coming back to the fires. Okay, so much of the wealth, right? Much of the wealth that was built up of Hawaiians, right? That was part of this advanced socialist Hawaii, right? Hawaii was deindustrialized by the U.S., but we still had wealth in this time, right? We still had these rail. We still had the universal healthcare system, right? The United States actively pushed to defund our universal healthcare system, right? But there is still a Queen's Hospital, right? That hospital that I talked about, there is still Queen's Hospital. It exists underneath the U.S. occupation. So if you want to get free healthcare, you actually can still get it, but it's very limited. They're very short. And you have to. It's actually like it's actually a hidden story where you have to actually kind of know the history of Hawaii, and you have to come to them and describe to them who you are, right, as a citizen of the nation of Hawaii, right, under the so-called U.S. Again, all of this is happening under. It's really, the U.S. is just running a complete counter narrative to the actual history of Hawaii. You can actually still get healthcare for free in parts of Hawaii, but you have to prove that you are like part of the Hawaiian nation, right? The United States is trying its best to kill, destroy, bury, stop free healthcare, right? It actually, the free healthcare that the Queen system still provides, it actually echoes the Hawaiians, right? And the U.S. trying to stifle it. It echoes the Hawaiians trying, right? What we talked about earlier, the Hawaiians trying to get, right, to their relatives, right? With that story about I lost it. It echoes the Hawaiians trying to get to their relatives the medicine and the food and the basic necessities to survive, and the U.S. and its police stopping people from getting in, right? There's no stories about that because the U.S. is not letting that get out, right? But Hawaii has actually been trying to get everybody still, Hawaiians have been trying to get everyone the universal health care that we invented 8 years before Karl Marx wrote Das Kapital and the great communist tomes of knowledge, right? From the Western perspective anyway. We already had universal health care and we've been trying to get it to people. And the U.S. is stopping people from getting the basic help they need. That's why the U.S. hates Hawaii. That's actually the number one reason, I'd argue. And that on top, and right next to that is we need a garrison state and an Indo-Pacific command to control and contain the spread of systems like that, and to stop China, to stop the spread into Vietnam, into Korea, into other countries around China, using Taiwan as an unsinkable aircraft carrier, right? And Hawaii is the place that the U.S. uses to disrupt it. So other than a gas station for the Death Star, Hawaii continuing to try to help cure the sick, heal the injured, right? Treat the unwell for free, because that's what aloha means actually, but nobody knows what that means. They only see it on the side of the capitalist-owned luau and the fake plastic hula girl on the side of their aircraft when they fly in Hawaiian Airlines, owned by a white guy who makes $3.5 million a year, by the way. Okay, so Hawaii, this is still what's happening to this day. Hawaii is trying to just live indigenous socialism, and the U.S. is trying to put colonial capitalism, blankets and layers of burning fire and disinformation, and layers and mountains of garbage and mountains of tourist propaganda and lies on top of successful indigenous anti-capitalist I'll call it just normal human lifeways before colonialism and all this terrible nonsense started somewhere in, I don't know, Rome, Greece, Europe. You take your fucking pick. Hawaii has been trying to do this the whole time. We're still trying to do this. I'm trying to do this. Me and Holly were trying our best. But this is what the fire, the climate change fires, right? The burning planet, the dying ecosystems, right? Which one small 0.001% of that is the Maui fire. Now, it's very real and serious to us. I'm not trying to pretend. I'm not saying that that's nothing, like I said. It's not like that the Maui fire is unimportant, but on the planetary scale, as a Hawaiian, we have to care about, not just as a human, right? But as a Hawaiian who has not lost my humanity to the attempts at forced dehumanization by the United States, let's say, by the West. That's what school is. That's what university is. That's what getting a job in capitalism and learning how to participate in the system is. It's an attempt. It's definitely what joining the U.S. military is, and Western military. It's an attempt to force dehumanize 8 billion people. So as a Hawaiian, which means to be somebody who has not been successfully forced dehumanized, right? It's not just about aloha aina, malama pono, kuleana. This is just words, but what does that really mean? That means we have a responsibility to everyone, right? To stop all of these, to actually care and respect, right? To I mean, and then whether that's healthcare care, whether that is, to feed with the again, advanced food systems that fed everyone, and to give housing to everyone. We had virtually no homelessness in Hawaii before the U.S. occupation, and then there was vast homelessness. Okay, and so this context, why am I coming back to this? We're supposed to be talking about fires. Without the context, it's very difficult, again, right, to talk about to really understand what is the scope of what's happening beyond the very small postage stamp sized little window that you get to see of the Maui fire, right? And that's all that the West wants you. That's all the U.S. and its Western colonial capital system wants you to do, is just go from this little thing, and then to the next thing. Oh shit, there's a fire somewhere in Ohio. Oh look, there's a wave somewhere over there in Europe. Oh, and these are all disconnected, and then lurch from minutia to minutia to minutia to minutia, buy, consume, and then die, right? And then the planet dies while you're doing that, right? To be a small, narrow, small-hearted, small-minded, selfish, rational individual, as the U.S. would like to make you. Okay, so that's why we're going through this history. But let's come back to this. Okay, this fire was set. Okay, this fire was set by the United States after they illegally occupied us. In that time that I was showing you, right? The USS Boston. Well, actually, let me do one more slide from that third real fast. Okay, so after that system that really successful system I just showed you, the United States did a concerted coup. The USS Boston landed in Hawaii to overthrow our sovereign country. This is the U.S. Navy ship. So again, if your mommy and daddy or uncle, grandpa worked in the U.S. military, Navy, you are directly implicated. You and your family are directly responsible for the destruction of that advanced socialist Hawaii. USS Boston landing in Hawaii to overthrow a sovereign country with the world's highest literacy rate, universal healthcare, advanced industry, like I just said. So this is why the U.S. was here. This is them forcing Hawaiians at gunpoint to raise the American flag. This is the capital of Hawaii, Iolani Palace. You can visit Iolani Palace. It hasn't burned down yet. Maybe one day the U.S. will set fire to Iolani Palace. I'm gonna give it like a few years. The U.S. will be ready to set that on fire. You can't. It's made of stone, but I'm sure the U.S. will be happy to burn everything in that. Because that's what they have done repeatedly to us, is burn Hawaiians to death, and all their history too. That's what the U.S. does. Okay. Shortly after we converted, so this is the U.S. This is the U.S. arsonizing, burning Hawaii with its coup. This is 95% of Hawaii saying we do not want to be part of the United States, so-called democratic United States. This is Queen Liliuokalani, elected leader, who was our head of state. The United States forcefully at gunpoint removing her, despite the vast majority. People like Americans who think, oh, Hawaiians just loved America because America brought roads, electricity, advancements, modernity, civilization. No, Hawaiians got less educated and lost all of our knowledge. We had more advanced infrastructure than the United States did. There's a country the U.S. really hates right now that has more advanced infrastructure than them. Most Americans don't even realize this. Kind of like how most Americans don't realize Hawaiians have more advanced infrastructure than the United States, right? And so obviously we would, who in their right mind, unless you were a capitalist who had been brainwashed, or a white capitalist who had been wanting to make personal profit to the detriment of the masses. That's basically the 5% who voted for it, right? Everyone who was for the socialist, successful, modern, racially equal Hawaii, what the hell? You want us to join this racist America? Hawaiians could see what happened to Native Americans. We read history books, unlike Americans. 54% who can't read above the 6th grade level. We actually knew what America was. A capitalist, racist, inequality-filled, unwashed, ass-filled, N-word spewing, colonial nation of diseducated people thinking that capitalism is good. And Hawaiians were like, why would we ever want to be a part of that? That's why we didn't join. Not because, it was just U.S. accidentally waltzed into this people doing hula dances in mud huts. No. The United States, again, systematically, premeditatedly, very consciously destroyed Hawaii and then lied to everyone on the earth that they could get away with, especially Americans, about what they did. And also that includes they lied to the people of Hawaii who they occupied. Speaking of fires and Maui, which is a lot of Filipinos a lot of whom had worked on the sugar plantations. The sugar plantation run by white oligarchs was installed after the coup, right? And these were amazingly unequal plantation feudalism. People living in tiny 10 by 10 foot boxes, being paid like just enough to afford a bowl of rice or a bowl of porridge, and then come back the next day. Like, it's just basic slavery, just absolute poverty, absolute colonial level, like 1800s United Fruit Company, South and Central America, style oppression in the 20th century was what the U.S. was doing in Hawaii. Okay, the Philippines, Mr. Walk Softly, Carry a Big Stick, Theodore Roosevelt, what he was doing was taking Filipinos from his brutally colonized Philippines and then bringing them to be in these sugar plantations in Hawaii in a similar brutal oppression. Anyways, that's what the United States installed to make tons of money for Dole Pineapple. Like, I have threads about the Hawaiian pizza and all this kind of stuff. There's lots more to learn. Anyway, I got to move forward because it's already 12. Okay. So, but coming back to the Chinatown fire. Yeah, so much for Abraham Lincoln ending slavery. Exactly. Okay. Let's get away from these people. Okay. So, yeah, so I'm sorry I keep jumping back, but I mean, I want to really contextualize this because, as I said, this is not the first time that the fires have been used in Hawaii. Smoke from a controlled fire in Honolulu 1900 State Archives. Honolulu's buildings, the people in Chinatown ran for their lives, but were horrified to discover they were not allowed to leave the area even during the inferno. So guards, police officers, and white citizens, all armed, forced anyone trying to escape back into the blazing quarantine zone. Okay, let me say that again, because people there is no information about who died in these fires, but let me just give you a little bit more context for that. Okay. Where is this from? So there was a site that I'm trying to find the exact one I got this from. Not the History Channel. Yeah. So, and this had to do with COVID-19 because a lot of this fire was blamed on, well, the Chinese are filthy, Asians are filthy, and that's why we have to burn all of Chinatown, which had Hawaiians and Asians in it. We have to burn all of these Hawaiians and Asians because they're just filthy. That was the excuse to burn them down. Okay. The Hawaii's Board of Health, which again, this is the U.S. occupation Board of Health, more of like the Board of Killing. Counted Francis Day, Clifford Wood, right? Endorsed by the President Sanford Dole. Who was President Sanford Dole? Okay, because that site doesn't give you the full context. Okay, who was Sanford Dole? Sanford Dole was who ran these racist slave plantations, right? Where all of the non-whites were making basically $0, right? Treated like feudal serfs, slaves, right? Plantation feudalism. Sanford Dole was who overthrew Hawaii, okay? Sanford Dole's, so that racist pineapple baron, right, endorsed the burnings of Hawaii, okay? These measures raised sensitive issues given the early victims were Chinese. All calls arose for destruction of the entire Chinatown, which was viewed as a hotbed of the plague. It was viewed as a hotbed of a plague, but what was discovered was, in fact, that the white hygiene practices were worse than a lot of and historically and still are worse than Asian hygiene practices, right? And so, in fact, the Chinese and Asians were blamed for the plague, but in fact, the plague was spreading in all kinds of other areas, but including amongst white people. But the white people were housed in special hotels, while Asians and Hawaiians had our houses burned down intentionally. Okay, why didn't they just burn? If they weren't going to burn house, why don't they burn all the white people's houses down? You know, like when Wuhan flu, all the Chinese are the number one spreader of the plague, right? And Americans are just poor victims. Who had most of the plague? You know, or have you already forgotten the last 5 years of pandemic history, which is normal for a Westerner? Have you forgotten which country has absolutely failed to save millions of people who have died and have permanent disability, especially during the beginning of the pandemic? Have you already forgotten that? Perhaps you never knew that because you live in the United States or the West, Europe, Canada. Given that the early victims were Chinese, so 6,000 and 10,000 Chinese, Japanese, and Native Hawaiians lived and worked in this area. Okay, citizens, the Citizen Sanitary Commission. Let me call it the Citizens Genocide Commission of the illegal U.S. occupation, entrusted the oversight of the health of Chinatown residents by the Board of Health. Again, the Board of Killing, run by colonizer racist Dole, sent Kanaka Chinese and Japanese residents from areas in the district deemed infected by a disinfection station before moving to a quarantine station. At the disinfection stations, all men, women, and children were stripped naked, sent to a fumigation shower, endured an intimate physical inspection in plain sight. So this is humiliating prisoner-like treatment. Why? Because, well, black and brown people are always treated like prisoners. It's called colonialism. White guards watched the Chinatown evacuees being processed in this brutal, dehumanizing manner. Merchants and residents alike suffered extensive losses. Any valuable goods. Again, that's the number one key, right? Number one key. Kill as many Hawaiians as possible. They succeeded in killing Hawaiians during this Chinatown fire. And also Asians, which were working together. Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, and Asians working together in an anti-racist socialist Hawaii under worker cooperative system, nationalized healthcare, nationalized non-capitalist, electrical grid, non-capitalist systems of making sure that everyone had access to their medical needs, etc. Right? White oligarchs showing up to take over that, and so the Asians and the Hawaiians who are working together all had to be killed, wiped out, their homes, their businesses, their valuables burned. So the Maui fire happening now has already been done intentionally. Like it is now, we just said, Hawaiians are being left and allowed to die as the U.S. police are stopping people from getting in. In the 1800s, right? Let me get that guy back, right? So now the Hawaiians are being stopped from getting in to help their other Hawaiians in Maui, right? Right now, Hawaiians are being stopped from getting in. I can't get there right now. But in the 1800s, right? Like remember our friend was saying, I can't get medicine in, we can't get food in, we can't get basic supplies in. Why can't we just do what we're trying to do, which is help people in need? Because that's what you do. That's just aloha. That's just like normal Hawaiian life, right? In the West, it's like, make as much money as you can. When there's a fire, try to like set up a scam donation thing and then take that money and put it in your pocket, right? Be it Red Cross and FEMA, take money and donations and beds, resell the beds, take all of the valuable goods, sell it on Craigslist, put that money back in Hillary Clinton's pocket and get out of Haiti, right? That's what the U.S. did that in Hawaii already. I watched them do it in real time. Hawaiian aunties videotaping some white East Coast Western U.S. aid workers at FEMA and Red Cross with all this goods when 80-year-old Hawaiian grandmas are like lying on the hard concrete after the volcanic eruption displaced people, right? So Hawaiians are just, again, this is the same fucking story again and again. We're just trying to help people and the U.S. stops it. In this time, there was a fire, but instead of the United States stopping people from helping people destroyed by the fire, the United States was forcing people keeping people trapped in the fire. Okay? So disinfection stations would never return as they were pilfered, damaged. So, but again, it was about stripping Hawaiians and Asians of our wealth. Kind of like stripping Africa, Asia, and Latin America of as much wealth as possible. It's just straight up normal Western colonial capitalism. Normal Western, U.S., European, racist, colonial capitalism. But then in Hawaii, okay? And the fire was just one way to do that. So you burn all of the Hawaiian stuff. You burn all the Asians' material. Burn their homes. In the wreckage, like shock doctrine is just normal colonial doctrine. Burn it all down and then build what you want on top of that. Take over the Chinese restaurants, take over the whatever tourist wealth they build up, whatever cooperative other industry and agriculture and all the centers that were the economic and financial centers to make more Hawaiian industry and more Asian industry. Burn that all, and replace it with Dole, U.S. Navy, Dillingham, white capitalist oligarchs. This Chinatown fire was a concerted effort to incinerate all the remaining organization of socialist Hawaii and kill as many Hawaiians as possible. On New Year's Eve, 2 weeks after the death of Yu Chang, the Board of Health moved to let me just skip forward. It's a lot. This is where we get to the on New Year's Eve, 2 weeks after the death. So this is again, we're talking about Chinatown fires. We're talking about the Chinatown fire in 1900. Okay. On New Year's Eve, 2 weeks after the death, the health moved to the Board of Health moved to begin rarely used controlled burnings. Okay, so the United States illegal occupation under genocidal Dole, the guy who banned Hawaiian language and culture, he authorized this. Let me say that again. The illegal colonizer who banned Hawaiian language and culture authorized controlled burnings of a whole block of homes and shops to try to remove the plague-ridden sections of Chinatown. On January 20th, anything these people say is suspect. On January 20th, the board proceeded to conduct the burning of yet another block. However, swept up by strong winds, right? What happened in Maui that I just said, right? The fires were swept up by strong winds and rapidly caused uncontrolled, difficult to put out, rapidly spreading burnings. So uncontrolled, strong winds caused the blaze to roar out of control, spread throughout the district all the way to the wharf, raising 1/5 of Honolulu's building. The people in Chinatown ran for their lives, but were horrified to discover that they were not allowed to leave during the inferno. Okay, look at that one more time. Okay, we're talking about, and by the end of this, right, they were not allowed to leave the inferno. Guards, police officers, and white citizens, all armed, forced anyone trying to escape the rapidly spreading fires back into the blazing zone. Okay. Yamashiro Matsuro survived the fire, but saw the hotel that he had recently purchased burned to the ground. Several other people lost everything they had in that fire. What am I trying to say? So number one, we don't know who actually died in this fire. Okay, the United States has never told the truth about anything, but they sure as fuck are not going to tell the truth about when they burned us all to a crisp. Okay, and people are like, well, they just had to do that. They just had to do that, right? The United States, for sanitary reasons, had to burn all of the Hawaiians because there was plague in the buildings. That was the only way to cleanse the buildings, was with the plague. Well, there were also white people, like Dole's family members, right? Like Sanford, like all these colonizers' family members, right? With their slave plantations, right? They all had family members running these racist slave plantations. And the white people, who were capitalist oligarchs, were housed in posh hotels rather than in the disinfection camp. This was a racist, concerted attempt. Again, I know I've said it 3 times, but I want to really hammer this home. This was a concerted attempt. And also, the total number of people who have lost homes in this fire, how many actual buildings, somewhere down here it tells you the amount of buildings that were lost. How many buildings were in the 1900 fires? Okay, so it was I can't get the exact number, but 4,000 homes. Okay, 4,000 homes, 38 acres. This is a very dense urban area. So we're talking about an area multiple times the size of the Maui fire. Okay, so this fire that I'm talking about here, this is multiple times the size of the Maui fire that the U.S. intentionally set. By the way, the U.S. set many, many, many fires. The U.S. set dozens of fires. They set dozens of fires in Hawaii. Okay, so this Maui fire is comparatively smaller than this 1900 fire. Okay, and again, we have internet, we have phones, we have radio, the sirens. The United States also dropped the ball or intentionally caused the sirens to fail. There is the total alert natural disaster sirens that are supposed to go off, and those sirens failed during this Maui fire. Another reason why people died. The U.S., if it can get away with it, like the Chinatown fire, we accidentally slipped and we just forgot to tell everyone that they were about to die. That's basically what the U.S. is playing information psychological warfare. The U.S. is accusing China of like making white women not want to marry or some shit, which is absolute bullshit. But anyways, the white women, maybe there's just like, patriarchy sucks. How about that? Which is complicit with colonialism and capitalism. But the actual psychological operation is making the world believe the United States did everything it could for the Hawaiians. It absolutely did not. There's supposed to be natural disaster warnings. There were a lot of ways that the U.S. and the so-called state of Hawaii government could have gotten information to the Hawaiians. They just didn't because they just don't care. The U.S. has a litany of receipts that I constantly am giving you about why they hate Hawaiians, why they don't want us around, why they're trying to get rid of us, why, and even if Jeff Bezos or Larry Ellison just throwing $50 million at the state of Hawaii. Larry just going, hey, hey, U.S. state of Hawaii, let Lahaina burn. I'll give you $50 million. Take 2% of that, and I'm going to use the rest of it to build my new fun fucking playground on it. And the Hawaii, the people who run the so-called state of Hawaii, which is just a corrupt plutocracy, they're going to take whatever money. I mean, this is one theory. I mean, I'm not saying that's what happened. It doesn't matter. That is how the United States operates. They have no desire to help native, socialist, advanced, educated Hawaiians to exist on this earth. They don't have again, it's a death country of indigenous people, and it's death to death to socialism, death to communism, death to anything that isn't capitalism or colonialism, death to brown people, death to black people, especially on a global scale with a few token Kamalas. The United States has no desire to see any Hawaiians alive. The U.S. hates me, obviously. I keep on. Well, obviously, I'm not very nice to it, but that's why they keep on blocking out my streams and then trying to stop people from reading my fucking tweets. And especially that's why they black out Wet'suwet'en in the middle of the DAPL pipeline construction, so that or in the middle of their anti-fossil fuel environment destroying actions, with millions of dollars changing hands between the pipeline companies and all the social media companies, and then the social media companies, we're happy to black out indigenous struggles if you give me some money. That's how Hawaii operates. So I mean, I don't know, I can't tell you exactly what, but I can guarantee you that money is changing hands right now to make sure that it's basically a bidding war, right? So it's basically like, will Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or some other corporation who wants to bid for, will the Marriott conglomerate or fucking New York Times best friend tourist corporation, the Four Seasons, right? Who gets to build the next theme park? It's a bidding war between corrupt U.S. state politicians, so-called U.S. state politicians in the capital of Hawaii, on Honolulu, just auctioning off the future of Lahaina. That's all this is. That's what's happening right now. And then the media is paid, here, have $1 million, write some fucking bullshit New York Times story about how we did our best. No. The United States is burning. It has been, and it is. I know I keep saying that, but I'm all full pissed off right now. U.S. has been and continues to burn Hawaii down. And the U.S. is the U.S. capitalist colonizer is just unhappy that all of Hawaii isn't burnt, so it can rebuild all of it as some fucking tourist theme park to make billions of dollars for a handful of dickheads as the whole planet burns. But this is just normal on a global scale, right? This is the capitalist going, oh great, how can we make money, right? Short selling the price of trees, right? How can we make money, gambling on which forest will burn next as the forest burns because of capitalism that they're complicit in, right? This is not just Hawaii. This is just how it is everywhere. But this in Hawaii, this is definitely how it's been for the last century. Anyways, okay. So, but I wanted to, and I feel like I've been going off about this for like longer than I wanted to. But this one always really upsets me a lot. And I get really into it because, accept. Let's say you have 4,000 people, 4,000 homes and buildings burned down, right? That's like a low estimate. It was more than that. I've read 10,000. Okay, it's 1/5 of the city of Honolulu, big city, right? What was Lahaina? Right, Lahaina, right? 13,000 people in that time, but they're talking about how many buildings burned down. Okay, so in Maui, 1,000. Like one of the estimates is 1,000. I'm just like getting some general estimates, right? Somewhere around 1,000. I've seen 1,700, more than 1,000 houses, right? So 1,000 to 2,000. Okay, in 1900, we're talking about 4,000 plus. So it's at least double the size of the Maui fire. Okay, it's before these warning systems, pre-internet, right? Pre early warning systems. Racist colonialism, even worse than now, more mask off outright racist colonialism. They're definitely not going to help the people there at all. And people are all being forced into fire. So you can die just from the smoke. You don't need to be burnt. You can die simply being asphyxiated by the massive mountains of clouds of smoke. So I want to know exactly, and I want some independent researcher, nothing U.S. affiliated. Someday we're going to get this. I want to get this someday. Because I am from the area where these ashes burned down. Kalihi-Palama, that Chinatown region. This is where I'm from. My parents were raised on the ashes of this fire. In buildings built upon the ashes of this fire. I want to know exactly who died. Because we know people died in this. You take... Over 1,000 people are estimated to have died in the Maui fires that are half the size of this, with modern electronics, with modern information systems, which a lot of them didn't work as well as they could, but they were at least, people could get more information faster than even at that time. Okay, and you're telling me in a fire that was more than double the size, in a more crowded, tightly constructed, more populated area, and you're telling me that in a fire more than double the size of the Maui fire, nobody died, because they're claiming maybe one person might have died. When you had racist white police officers and citizens pointing guns at people, pushing them back into the fire, you telling me that nobody died in that fire? You fucking kidding me? United States, I want to say this is like one of the original mass genocides of the United States in Hawaii. That's not the only one. There was massacres in Hilo, putting down Asian and Pacific Islander workers, but I mean, but we don't have that information because a lot of that went up in fire. We don't have a lot of information because the United States buried the history, obliterated whatever they could. But if you're telling me that nobody died when people were being forced back into a fucking fire, telling me nobody, this is to this day, this is still what they claim. Nobody died in this Hawaii fire of 1900, right? This is how you treat prisoners to dehumanize them, right? This is how you dehumanize prisoners, right? Strip them naked, have the white guards blasting water on the black people. Again, there's no white people. They didn't do this to the white people. Only the Asians and Pacific Islanders. Right? You telling me that this is the level of treatment that they were giving to Hawaiians and other non-white people in Hawaii, and you telling me they didn't let anyone die in that fire? You fucking kidding me? The United States has burned Hawaiians to death and burned Hawaiians in businesses in 1900 in the so-called historic Chinatown fires. By the way, if you come to Hawaii, all the plaques on the walls are all uplifting positive bullshit. It's like, oh, the backward Asian structures were replaced with much better structures. It was all an accident. Another reason you should not visit Hawaii. Everything you learn in U.S. occupied Hawaii on your tourist vacation, in Chinatown, Pearl Harbor, where you're gonna get more pro-jingoistic American imperialist, right? And I want to sign up for the military because I saw the USS Arizona and I just felt bad for the Americans that we definitely didn't nuke innocent hundreds of thousands of Japanese people after they had already surrendered in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? When you visit Hawaii, when you visit that mountain, Diamond Head, when you visit the fake bullshit plantation, oh, it was so heartwarming for Filipinos and Japanese and Chinese and Hawaiians to all be enslaved in the U.S. fucking pineapple plantations. Everything you learn when you come to Hawaii on a tourist vacation today is false, is lies. It makes you more racist. It makes you more stupid. It makes you more disinformed. It increases the likelihood the planet will burn down because of your capitalism that your America supports. When you come to Hawaii on your tourist vacation, there is a tropical pina colada flavored dehumanization machine that immediately takes hold of your brain cells the second you get off of the air-conditioned plane and you get a lay from that underpaid Hawaiian slave lady. And it makes you more and more unhuman. It makes you more and more anti-human. It makes you more and more anti-Hawaii. It makes you more and more diseducated. Every second you spend in that overpriced hotel, every second that you spend swimming with the dolphins, every second that you spend being a settler colonizer on a stolen land, backed by our genocide, including incinerating Hawaiians and Asians and all of our businesses and all of our socialist Hawaiian wealth in 1900. Every second you spend in Hawaii, not only are you hurting us because the money is not coming back to us, not only are you hurting us because of the starvation wages, not only are you hurting us because you're taking resources that could have gone to saving people in Maui who need the help, despite the United States stopping with their police help from getting there. You are making yourself actively more and more diseducated. Every person who's ever been to Hawaii is a stupider person because of it. They're a more racist person because of it. They're a more colonial person because of it. Everyone who comes to Hawaii, all 330 million Americans for the last 70 years, from Elvis himself, who was a racist piece of shit before, and he was an even more racister piece of shit with bare feet, white pants, and a Blue Hawaii song when he went back to that shithole, America. Every single person who's ever come to Hawaii is more diseducated because of it. For that reason alone. Because if you are a university professor, a college, somebody who likes to think of themselves as an intelligent person, you should never visit Hawaii under the U.S. occupation. On top of because it hurts us. On top of because you emit an entire American Hummer drivers worth of carbon emissions with your single plane flight on your Boeing 767 or whatever planes still function. You are burning carbon. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be liberating the indigenous people and the people of color and building socialism inside the United States rather than taking a vacation. You don't have the time to take no vacation. You don't deserve a vacation, American, Westerner. You don't fucking deserve a vacation. What the fuck have you done for the indigenous people who have been genocided like us Hawaiians, whose line you're on? What have you been doing for them? You don't deserve vacation. If you can afford to stay at the $3,000 plus hotel, and even to take these plane trips, because most of them are Gen X or the honorary millennial boomer extra wealth having people who can fucking afford a vacation. What the fuck are you taking a vacation for? You don't deserve a vacation. As I said before, until everyone in Niger has 100% of them have electricity and nice houses, and everyone in Niger can take a vacation to China because they don't want to go to racist America, but when everyone in Africa has 100% electricity, 100% quality healthcare, quality housing, like we had for them in Hawaii, when everyone in Africa can take a vacation, and there's enough, and the planet's resources are not so dwindled that having vacations with planes is not irrational, unfeasible, and immoral, then you, white New Yorker, then you, lady, with your lost watch, where's the lost watch lady? Then you, I want to snorkel and see dead bodies, colonizer. Then you can take vacation after everyone else. After everyone in Niger has taken 3 vacations to see Cuba, because nobody wants to see America. It's a mess. After every person in Niger has taken 3 vacations to see advanced socialist Cuba, advanced socialist Vietnam, advanced socialist Bolivia, or somewhat, as they get more liberated, then you can think about maybe possibly, after you've undone your entire $450 trillion of stolen wealth that you've stolen with your mommy and daddy and your grandpa, great grandpapa, that colonized and stole this entire planet's Asian, African, Latin American wealth to build the global north After you're done repatriating that, then you can think about vacation. But not now. Not now. Not when we're still dying. Not when Hawaiians are still dying on Maui and all over the place. Yeah. You want to take a vacation? You go take an educational visit to China and learn what a functioning society that has $700 university educations at the top university, learn what $200 a month apartment buildings, and learn what actual universal access to healthcare and housing and education looks like. Look at what advanced infrastructure that has high-speed rail for everyone that goes as fast as American planes nowadays. Look what zero homelessness looks like. That's what you can do. Like, learn that. Try to see what you can do to build that. Like, learn how they got there, right? I'll give you a hint. Part of it has to do with undoing the capitalist entire system. Okay? That's what you can do. No more vacations to Hawaii. No more vacations to Hawaii. None of you. Though nobody deserves no vacation to Hawaii. If you're a Hawaiian person who has Hawaiian family in Hawaii and you're like, I'm sick of being in LA. This place is a racist shithole that's paying its writers, actors, hotel workers, and nurses like 5 cents an hour, and I hate America, and you want to come back to the country of Hawaii and you want to help rebuild Hawaii, that's valid. That's valid. 60% of Hawaiians don't live in Hawaii. You're coming back to rebuild. But if you're coming back to fucking vacation in Hawaii, absolutely not. If you're a white person, what the fuck are you doing in Hawaii? If you well, I've lived in Hawaii. I lived in Hawaii when I was 13. I think I want to move to. No. You don't deserve Hawaii. Clean your house, colonizer. Your California, your Michigan, your Ontario, your Brussels, your I don't know where the fuck your London. Clean your house. You don't deserve treats. You have, one in Spider-Man, you have 5 months grounding. You're grounded. Till you clean your fucking house. Anyways, okay, so but that's me. It's already 12:26. I gotta get out of here because I gotta go do more streams in the evening. And anyway, there's so much more to say about this. I could talk about this. I talk about this all the time, but I could talk about this forever. But the important thing is that people realize this is the lady. Okay, this lady, you gotta go home and never come back to Hawaii. This lady, Alicia Stratton, New York Times is settler Barbie. Go back to New York. Take all the money and wealth that you have inherited and profited from, are suffering from, and undo capitalism in your New York so-called state. Okay? Give it all to indigenous people and actual left organizations. Okay? This is what you should do. You never come back to Hawaii. Sell everything you have in Hawaii, or just give everything you have in Hawaii back to Hawaiians and help them rebuild our homes that you and your ancestors have been burning and despoiling for the last forever. Go back to New York and stop the capital. New York is the capital of capitalism. What the hell are you doing here? Your job is to be back in New York, selling your Rolex and giving all the proceeds to support all the people, all the political prisoners for Black August that should be free. That's what you should be doing. Every white person should be, with any kind of privilege, should be calling all of your uncles that are presidents and your aunts that are CEOs and your cousins that are senators and billionaires, and trying to pull all the strings you can to get Mumia out of prison, as we talked about on Wednesday. And you should be trying to help end your racist, capitalist, imperial system. That's what you should have been doing. But no, you're over here looking for your Rolex. Looking for your Rolex on Maui. Anyway, okay. I have infinite amounts of these tirades or these high-speed, high-frequency jet engine volume educational stints, not rants, that I could go on. So I'm going to have to draw a line somewhere. Okay. There was something else that I was like, I want to say this before I go, though. Okay. Look at all the threads. If you want donation links, Holly's got a lot of donation links. Also, stop accusing indigenous people of not being real Hawaiians. Like, this is our friend, Lil Ghost, was with us on a queer BIPOC panel recently. Okay. Also, one thing I forgot to mention. Again, U.S. is spending millions to fly tourists with homes to emergency houses, while we remain, Hawaiians like myself, homeless, hungry in our own land, even before the fires destroyed Lahaina. Okay, this area of the eruption, this is the area that this is the area the U.S. burned down. This is the town America burned down a century ago to get rid of us. And then they built this area, where the homeless tent city. This is Kapalama Canal. In fact, this is where I worked with the impoverished, while also being a homeless Hawaiian. Because we have the highest rate of homelessness in the so-called United States. Look, it's like off the charts. Okay, so like the next closest is black people, who have 48 out of 10,000 people homeless. Native American right after that, 44, right? Multiple races, 36. White people have 11. So as Hawaiians, we have over 10 times the rate of homelessness of Pacific Islanders, of these other ethnicities. Asian is also very deceptive. In fact, many Asians are deeply underhoused, and they lump a lot of people into that. But in fact, the highest rate of poverty in cities in the United States, which is where most of the Asians live, the highest rates of poverty are with Asians. So there's a lot of deception with that statistic. But when it comes to Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders, we're definitely some of the most homeless per capita, some of the most impoverished and homeless populations. Part of that thing, but yeah. So anyways, so that's what that's about. Anyways, okay, I should just end. Anyways, oh, one more. Well, that's what it was. The volcanic eruption. Okay, so I wish we had a link to when the Pu'uhonua I wish we had a link to the story of what happened during the volcano fire. This is another fire. Okay, so during the Big Island residents, Pu'uhonua, when the volcano erupted in 2018, okay, many people lost their homes, right? As like over 1,700 buildings were destroyed in this the Kilauea eruption. Okay, people couldn't go home. Similar to this, people's houses burned out because it was lava flow, right? Lava just bulldozes through. 600 lost, or more than 600 at this time were lost in eruption in Lower Puna. And the Pu'uhonua o Puna, also known as the Hub, was a small city of tarp shelters, pop-up tents, and shipping containers. Again, this is Hawaiians actively organizing, mobilizing, giving of our own resources because people needed housing, people needed food, people needed shelter. Okay, this is the one I was talking about. And the United States, FEMA, Red Cross, they were hoarding resources, not giving it out, reselling beds, taking money donations and sticking it in their pocket and running away with the money. This was the U.S. so-called aid organizations like Red Cross and FEMA and other ones, mostly white people running them. I remember I was like, oh, why are all these 6'2", waspy looking New Englander white guys, white boys, like the children of Bill Clinton? What are they doing in Hawaii all of a sudden? I was like, oh, that's what they're doing. They're taking donations from well-meaning citizens and other Hawaiians and then running away with the money. That's what the U.S. was doing. Meanwhile, Hawaiians acted. There was auntie who was like, went inside. She was about to donate like 20 beds, right? They run a small business, not super profitable. It's just a local hui. It's a local cooperative business. They haul water and they do other, like they do moving water and some other basic home need businesses, right? And they brought like 20 beds for people to sleep on. And they found that the Red Cross, right, while the Hawaiians were helping people get rehoused, right, during this time of critical need, right, the Red Cross and FEMA in the U.S. was hoarding the beds and not giving them out. What were they doing that for? And they said, oh, it's all on a needs-based basis. And some fucking white Hillary Clinton-looking lady was over there like, oh, well, we're just, making sure that we get to where it has to go. And there's all these people sleeping, like, again, 80-year-old, very, like, feeble, very, like, ill, very not firm, very unwell elderly people lying on wet concrete in this gym, like outdoors on the concrete, wet concrete, when there's tents and there's beds all in this huge storeroom. And the auntie was like, why are you guys holding on to all this when people need it? And that's what I mean. When you donate, you gotta don't donate to no American affiliated anything. If a U.S. congressperson, a blue check mark, a Western media person retweeted something, shared something, it's all immediate sus. Immediate sus. I can't guarantee you what it is, but immediately suspect. Okay, because you're gonna give money, and you're gonna be donating money to buy more weapons to blow up people in Palestine and kill people in some U.S.-led war. That's what you're giving money to. You're donating money so that Bob Iger and New York Times CEOs can make more money, taking that money from Hawaiians. That's where the money goes. You thought you donated money to Hawaiians? No. And I watched it happen in real time. During the volcanic eruption. The U.S. did nothing. Okay, so that's another reason why. Okay, I don't have we had this whole video where there's like multiple streams of Hawaiians talking on. They'd be like, "What? I don't know what these people are trying to do." This white racist lady tried to run for a representative in Hawaii based on lying about what the Hawaiian. She's saying like Hawaiians are all embezzling all that money. Hawaiians are just taking all of the displaced people and holding onto their beds. You know, it's like if some Westerner accuses if the U.S. or a Western person, right, is accusing or entity accuses someone else of something, that's what they've done, right? All the pastors going, the drag queens and LGBTQ plus are grooming and abusing kids, and every day there's like 3 pastors, cops, priests, rich white people, especially dudes generally, mass harassing, sexual assaulting, abusing children, right? So when the West is going accusing somebody of something, that's what the U.S. is doing right now. That's what they're doing right now in Maui. Guaranteed, that's what they're doing. They haven't changed at all. They've gotten worse. Okay, so anyway, I want to bring that up. So this is from the volcano 2018 eruption. Remember this? It was all Hawaiians doing all the help when this volcano erupted and decimated homes. It was not the United States. It was none of those Westerners. The United States active, just like now. The United States was actively trying to stop Hawaiians from helping their fellow Hawaiians and just people who needed help. Just like Maui. Okay? Anyway, that's a good place to end. I could go on this thing forever. Thank you to whoever supported us. I just want to quickly read this out. If you appreciate the education that we try to do, again, I'm not an investigative reporter that I've spent all day long researching these things. I am just a Hawaiian who has lived in Hawaii my whole life. I was brainwashed by the United States. I was trained to be a senator, a congressperson, or a programmer for the U.S. military at a $20,000 private school, and I just like have spent a lot of my time not doing that because and trying to do whatever positive work I can, educating and doing activism in Hawaii as a native Hawaiian and just as a normal human who has not been dehumanized by the colonial capitalist system. And so if you want to support us, what we do, support us through Ko-Fi, support us through the Patreon. Of course, like, you know, that's just to support us to keep doing what we do. You know, we are not, somebody asked, are you housing the people that are displaced? Like not presently, but you know, if other emergencies happen, you know, who knows what's going to happen. So we definitely need all the support that we can get because we're not rich. You know, we're not making tons of money here. I'm an independent game developer. Most of what I do is make video games. So, and I try to sell them and I do education as well. Like I try on this, just getting on the camera and getting on social media. We're just a independent cooperative. If you'd like to support us, Silver Spook Cooperative, is supported through this Ko-Fi link. Thanks to McClubbin again, because I know you're a repeat supporter. Thank you so much for the support. Thanks Big Teal for watching. Yeah, thank you so much for your generous support as and continued support. We lost the $50 Patreon supporter, so just to be 100%, like it really does help us if we can get some of that back, or get some of the money that we're not getting through that. It really helps. So I want, if you have a second to run to Patreon, if you have any amount of extra money and you can help support us on a monthly basis to keep doing this work, consider becoming a Patreon member. We're still very far from the basic $1,500 goal that would help us not have to worry about money all the time. We're making basically at the poverty line or under it. That's how much money we don't have much money. So if you can help us with that, that really does help. Also, you get access to behind the scenes of what we're doing, access to the Silverspook Discord. I have a categorized form of all the streams I've ever done, over 1,000 hours of it. It's called the Silverspook University, and you get access to that when you become a Patreon member. And also you get to support Hawaiians who are trying our best to stop what is currently happening. Like I've been talking about this whole time, and keep on doing that. I guess I call myself a journalist. Well, I don't believe there's any Western journalists. There's only Western propagandists. But I try my best to do some actual truth saying in the free time that I can spare. I cannot spend a lot of it. But yeah, so consider supporting us to help us reach the goal. I think Patreon removed the goals. So anyways, so consider helping us out through that method. If you do play video games, like I said, today is more serious, but if you do play video games, I do make cyberpunk adventure games that are anti-capitalist, anti-colonial, anti-racist cyberpunk adventure games and other genres of games. Like Neofeud. Neofeud is the biggest flagship game, and you can get it on Steam. Anybody you want to help Hawaiians while also getting games. You can get this, give it to your friend in their Steam wishlist. People play games. Give it to somebody who is a fan of cyberpunk or adventures or retro games or whatever. And it does help us that way as well. Just tell us people about it. Also, you can get all these games on itch.io for Windows, Mac, and for Linux. Also, you can give maximum revenue to us through this itch.io site, because it does help us. They take the best cut goes to the creators when you buy games through it. And you can also get if you don't like colonialism and capitalism, then this is a game that's specifically about fighting colonialism and capitalism that I made with my Vietnamese comrade Luna Oi. Oh, by the way, I'm working on some future videos with Luna and friends and American Johnson sometime in the near future. So looking forward to doing some of that. We were kind of talking about, everyone's kind of real busy, but we're talking about some ideas for some future collaborations, possibly a fundraiser related to the events and the unfortunate crises in Hawaii. So, but you can get the game that me and Luna worked on here at the Colonators. And of course, you can follow at Silver Spook Games at octodon.social, at Silver Spook Games at mastodon.social. You can follow Silver Spook Guy and on Twitter and at Silver Spook Games. And there's also this is Terminus C is another game that I'm the content director of, 3D cyberpunk RPG. I'll kind of go through this fast because I want to talk a little bit. I want to give a shout out to the places to donate as well, just in case I forget to change things at the end. Holly, of course, can also be followed. Holly is my partner in both marriage, but also in doing this education and the Silver Spook Cooperative, the Silver Spook Anti-Capitalist Indigenous Cooperative. That is the Silver Spook Hui. The U.S. hasn't yet burned us down. I'm sure they're trying to. They're trying to all the time. But if you would like to support us against the U.S. occupation, Holly also is moderator, etc. for Married to Myself, a producer manager with Kate Nix and the Lounge Show, a Twitch stream music and variety show, and also parent. We're trying to educate our children here in Hawaii because the U.S. school system, which I haven't even talked about, is all brainwashing and teaches all lies to stop our children from learning our own history and language, by the way. So consider helping us do that. Help Holly to do a lot of this work that she does here. And yeah. Anyways. And also don't forget some other resources to follow just before I forget. Aina Momona is one, and I'm sure Holly has been sharing resources and links to help what's with the disaster in Hawaii. So Aina Momona is one that definitely can. If you're like, I don't know where. What do I do? Who I want to give this or I want to do that and help in Hawaii. This is one that that we can, as far as we know, is like trustworthy. Based on our own work and what we've done, and yeah. Anyways, there's many others, but yeah. Look in the description. Look in the links. Look in the chat of this stream. Okay, because that's why Holly does a lot of work to make sure that everybody's getting that. Okay, and thanks to all the Patreon members. It is massively appreciated, all your support. I saw Grant was in the chat. Of course, Big Teal was there. Big Teal is also a supporter. So thanks to all of you for your support. Aloha, mahalo, mahalo nui, or very deep gratitude for all of that, and keep your asbestos mirrors. That's probably that's not a good joke, but let's fight the planetary fires. You know, let's fight the Hawaii's been burning a long time. Okay, so we got to keep our brains and eyes polished and awake, and looking out for the next one, not just focusing only on immediately what's happening. Don't focus on what the West is saying about it. Try to get information from actual trusted people in your own networks. Mexi says move at the speed of trust, which is a good saying, I think. We will see you later on the Twitch stream.